It's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. It is the Halloween week edition of Life in the Movies podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Ryan Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This week, it's all about superheroes because, wow, so much is happening in the world of superhero movies. We got an Ant-Man and the Quantumania trailer. We're going to be covering Daredevil Season 2, Episode 3. James Gunn is heading up the DCEU now, so we think. And we're also going to be talking about Black Adam and the return of Henry Cavill as Man of Steel. There is so much to unpack. But first, I got to bring in my co-host, Jacob Martin. Jacob, how are you? Like, just your mind, has it been blown enough this week?
Yes, there's been some amazing stuff in the world of superhero cinema this week, and I'm excited to unpack all of this in this episode.
Yes, we'll be putting what we've been watching lately on the back burner just for this week, and we're just going to be diving straight into it. First, let's talk about Ant-Man and the Ant-Man teaser trailer, which I was not expecting for it to be dropping. I guess I should have expected it because the Ant-Man Twitter account was like big/tiny things dropping later. I'm like, well, this has got to be the trailer. And sure enough, it was. And just for general context for me, I've been a defender of the Ant-Man movies. I think the first one's a lot of fun, Edgar Wright controversies and stuff aside. And I'm a defender of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think that movie's a ton of fun. I think people were expecting it to be earth-shattering because it was the movie immediately after Avengers Infinity War. So it was in a thankless position. But I thought the movie was a lot of fun. And I think Quantumania looks like a lot of fun. Jacob, what did you think?
Yeah, I've enjoyed the previous Ant-Man movies as well. I like that they're a lot more smaller in scale compared to the bigger earth-shattering MCU films. They stand out to me because of that. And I like the likability of Paul Rudd in the title character. But watching this trailer for Quantum Mania surprised me because you really get to see that they're going bigger in scale this time as the characters are sucked into the quantum realm. We get to learn more about the quantum realm, it looks like, and the inhabitants that are in there. I'm really looking forward to seeing another visual marvel from Marvel Studios, and we're getting a really big glimpse at Kang the Conqueror this time, played by Jonathan Majors, who's I think going to be a big player in this current phase of the MCU, diving into phases 5 and 6 and into the multiverse saga. We previously had Kang. He had a small part. One of his variants had a small part in the Loki series. But here we're going to see like the true big bad. And I'm excited to see that in the MCU. There's just so much to unpack in that trailer. And I'm really excited to see. It looks like another, I guess, a more epic Ant-Man film with a lot of stakes. I think that's going to be an interesting contrast compared to the other two, while still keeping the fun of the other films. It looks fun.
Yeah, I was not expecting to see Bill Murray in this. When I saw his face, I'm like, whoa, I live in a world where Bill Murray has a small role in the MCU. Him and Jeff Goldblum. It's like, this is just crazy.
Yeah, Marvel's casting everybody, and it's awesome to see.
It's like, you get a role, you get a role. This entire industry gets a role. But yeah, this is giving me motivation to finally sit down and watch Loki because I haven't seen it. I watched an explained video, so I technically know what happens, but I have not seen it. I have not seen the full series, so I definitely have to change that, especially before Quantum Mania. And it seems like that he's going to be the next big bad that they are striving towards, and thank God for it too, because I've not been a fan of this phase and it's just felt kind of directionless. But it seems like they're zeroing in on Kang. That's going to be the new big bad. And really, if you think about it, Jonathan Majors is going to have a really epic year next year in 2023. He's going to be in Ant-Man, and he's also the villain in Creed 3, which that trailer dropped last week, and that trailer looks fantastic.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's going to be Jonathan Majors' year for sure because he looks jacked in both of those movies, and I think he's going to be the standout in both films because of his presence and his gravitas.
Yeah, and also shout out to these trailer editors for the Ant-Man trailer for picking Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Like whoever chose that deserves a raise because that's a fantastic song.
Yeah, like I've literally had that song in my head the last couple days since watching the trailer.
Well, Tiny Dancer for me, but yes, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road has also been in the rotation as well. It's such a good song. But what did you all think of the Ant-Man in the Quantumania trailer? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. Well, Jacob, just before we were sitting down to record, we learned that, well, James Gunn, I guess, is in charge of the DCEU now. It was very recently reported, and honestly, I have no objections. James Gunn is a very talented director. It's looking like he's going to be wrapping things up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and he's going to be migrating to DC. I loved his Suicide Squad movie, but it's a whole different ball of wax to go from just one movie to overseeing the creative output of everything DC related, it sounds like. So it's a difference in kind. But James Gunn's a very talented man, so I'm at least optimistic, Jacob, fair to say.
Yeah, I was completely shocked when I heard this news. Like you go from filmmaker to big important CEO, creative studio guy. That's very mind blowing to see that, honestly. And I've been a fan of James Gunn. I've loved the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. His Suicide Squad movie over at DC was fantastic. I am really happy that he got this promotion, and I really hope that going forward with the DCU, James Gunn can lend his creative talents to these upcoming movies without stepping his toes too much. I hope the directors who make these movies, their talents come first, and James Gunn's more of an assistant in this role. But I'm still excited to see what's going to happen. Regardless, I think now that they have, I think when Warner Brothers Discovery had their little merger, they were hoping to find like a Kevin Feige like figure for DC. And if James Gunn is their best pick, hopefully they made the right call, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep in mind that this is just an announcement. We don't know what slate they have coming up, what movies they have planned. It's just an announcement of it's basically a promotion. So that's all that we have right now. All we have is just this announcement and the fact that James Gunn, an incredibly talented filmmaker, has basically been promoted to number one alongside Peter Safran. I was thinking, and I can't remember where I heard this from, but I thought The Rock was going to have some role in it, which I don't know how he was going to fit it into his schedule. He's also running the XFL with his ex-wife, so I guess that man really doesn't sleep after all. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, I think it's important to remember that James Gunn has just been announced. It's going to be a whole different thing to when things get announced and we see trailers and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the possibility. I saw a tweet from James Gunn saying that the announcement was true, and he's excited to start. I think he and that Peter guy are start. I think their official first date is like November 1st.
Well, he runs his own Twitter, so if it comes from that, then it must be him. I mean, he does run that account himself.
Yeah, and he does a lot of tweets on there, and he has some pretty fun responses to different various articles and different things. Like I liked his clapback at Grace Randolph, infamous film critic, who was claiming that certain characters were going to be in the Peacemaker show, and he's like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the one in charge of this show, and I can say that some certain characters are not going to be in my Peacemaker show."
Yeah, I've never seen a Grace Randolph video in my life, but I know the unholy trinity is Grace Randolph, Soups, and Blu-ray Angel. Those are the three. But
Yeah, more on Soups later on.
yeah, we will be definitely getting there. But what did you all think of this announcement? Did you like it? Do you hate it? Are you just in a wait and see kind of mode? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. All right, Jacob, let's dive into Daredevil season 2, episode 3. And when I was getting back into this series, I was not prepared for how much season 2, because season 1 is awesome. Let's not get that twisted. But season 2, this season just took everything to another level. The synopsis is the episode's called New York's Finest. The synopsis is trapped face to face with the Punisher, Daredevil wrestles with the morality of vigilante justice. Meanwhile, Foggy and Karen work to save the firm. So, Jacob, initial thoughts. What'd you think?
Of the 3 episodes in season 2 so far, this one's easily my favorite. I like that it's a more character-driven story. I especially like that it's centered on the different ideologies between Daredevil and the Punisher. How they're both vigilantes by heart, but it's more of a battle between how they do it. Whereas Daredevil's kind of like Batman. He has like the no kill rule, and he tries to go for justice and all that he does. The Punisher is a little bit more extreme in that. Like he just kills people because he wants to kill people because he has such a vendetta. And I love seeing the two characters go toe to toe with one another and argue their morality with one another. I think the acting was great between Charlie Cox and John Bernthal. And when we do get action in this episode, like in the final minutes, as much as I love that hallway fight in the first season, I think this fight in this episode, in my opinion, tops it. Like you got Daredevil, taking guys out left and right in a hallway using his fisticuffs. He's got some chains on him, and he's just going all out on these dudes. And he's going down the hallway, and then it goes down the stairwell in the apartment complex, and it just keeps going and going and going. And every time something crazy happens, I was just on the edge of my seat, just enthralled by the action on display. This was a very well choreographed action sequence. I think it was made to look like it was shot at one take. I think there might have been some hidden edits in some of the shots, but it was still made to look like a continuous take. And I thought it was very well done, considering this was a streaming show. This was one of the coolest fights I've seen in a while.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is not the Netflix that we know today. This was 2016 Netflix, where people were like, oh, DVDs in the mail, like that kind of Netflix. And they had House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. No offense to those shows, but there nothing was being done in this kind of style. And so yeah, same thing. I was just blown away by this sequence, especially when Daredevil has the gun taped to his hand and he pulls the trigger and it's empty and he does a little I'm like, oh, you guys are toast. And sure enough that they were. And bring it back to just the scene between Daredevil and Punisher. I don't know if I'm too crazy on this, but it kind of reminded me of Batman and the Joker from The Dark Knight. I almost thought that Punisher had some lines that were very similar to these civilized people. When their back is against the wall, they will eat each other. And nothing directly like that, but Punisher is very much, he's not as villainous as the Joker. He's very much an anti-hero. He's he's doing, I guess, the right thing for the wrong reason, if that makes any sense at all. And Daredevil is more heroic, so they both think that they operate in shades of gray, but at the same time, they both think that they're in the right, if I'm making any sense at all.
Yeah, I totally get what you're trying to say. They both think they're doing the right thing, especially on the Punisher side. He thinks he's doing right, but it's for the wrong reasons. I do like the conflict between the two characters, and it's really gripping to see where the conflict is going to take both the characters throughout the course of the season. Another thing I liked in this episode, like I liked Foggy's involvement in this episode. We see him go in the hospital and he interacts with Rosario Dawson's character, and I love Foggy. Like, there's a lot of like criminals in the hospital that are like against each other because they were affected by the Punisher, and there's some that are against each other even in that state, and they're threatening to blow each other up. But I love Foggy's interaction even to like the most dangerous criminals. And the fact that he's able to keep a civil conversation and calm them down. This is another like peak Foggy moment where you're like, man, this guy's awesome. He can do a whole thing without the aid of Matt Murdock. I think I said that last week too, but man, he's awesome here.
Yeah, Foggy really does show out in this season. I completely forgot because in season one, he was definitely there, but he felt more a bit like the comedic relief, if that makes any sense at all. But here, because Matt Murdock is so busy on the Punisher front, Foggy has to step up on the whole Nelson side of things. And that's just a great scene where he talks down to those, not down to those criminals, but talks the criminals down from their Mexican standoff, for lack of a better word. And he's like, you got face tattoos. That might as well say, I know what prison meatloaf tastes like. I'm like, I mean, it's funny, but it's also really true. It's such a great little moment, and credit to this actor. I can't remember his name right now. I'll look it up really quick. Just I know he's Fulton from Mighty Ducks. I know that. Eldon Henson. Yeah, shout out to him. He's fantastic. And also a little nice moment of continuity with the Marvel Netflix shows. We see Claire, and Claire brings up the finale of Jessica Jones, Jacob. I don't know if you caught this or not, but
Yeah, I did catch that. She brought up the big guy she was trying to take care of in reference to Luke Cage.
yeah, and how she got this shift, the shift from hell, is like there's ripple effects. I do appreciate little moments like this.
Yeah, continuity goes a long way.
And from what I do remember, this show is just going to get crazier from here, and I'm so looking forward to it. But what did you all think of Daredevil Season 2, Episode 3, if you have indeed seen it? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. All right, Jacob, let's get into the main event for the evening. Let's talk about Black Adam. Now, this is going to be, I think, Jacob, we can agree, this won't be a blow-for-blow review, but I think we can talk about some spoilers, especially the cameo, because it's pretty much out in the open that Henry Cavill's back as Superman, so I think we can talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So we won't be going over every scene in minute detail, but we will be talking about various plot points that are very important. So if you have not seen the movie, I do give it a modest recommendation. I do have a review on the channel, so do go and check that out. But do go see the movie first before you continue on with this. But Jacob, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think of Black Adam overall?
Black Adam is interesting. I know this movie had like a mixed reaction from critics. I think I get why people are dismissive on the film because the movie's not reinventing the wheel by anything. It's just your pretty much your basic comic book film with flashy action and interesting characters. And if you want something different from that, this movie's not going to work for you. But if you just want a good popcorn fun time, I think Black Adam is that movie for you. I actually personally enjoyed Black Adam for what it was. Like I said, it wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel or anything, but you got The Rock playing a character that he's been wanting to play for the last 15 years, getting finally, after a long period of time, to get this project off the ground and fully embracing this Black Adam character. I think the movie works solely because of The Rock's star power and charisma. I like that he balances his own charisma and personality as an actor mixed with the vengeance of the Black Adam character, and it makes for an unforgettable screen presence. I really enjoyed what he brought to the screen, and I like that this movie, even though there are some good character moments in there when it focuses on Black Adam character and his backstory and why he thinks the way he does. I like that this is more of an action centered movie, and the movie is very entertaining because of the action sequences. I do enjoy the Justice Society of America. I like the inclusion of those characters, particularly Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate and the Hawkman character. I like the camaraderie that Black Adam has with those characters. Again, this movie's not anything groundbreaking or anything. There's some characters that are a bit underused, in my opinion, like some of the Justice Society characters, like Atom Smasher and the Cyclone. They didn't do much for me. The actual villain that we did get was on the weak side, and he didn't really do much for me. But overall, as a fun action popcorn film, I think this movie does deliver. It's not top tier DCEU, but I think it's the right movie that people needed for the DCEU to get back on the ground. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of The Rock. I mean, I'm a big fan of him from his wrestling days up to now. I've kind of followed it throughout, just the transition from WWE to Hollywood and beyond. So it's been crazy to witness just how big of a deal he's become. But yeah, he really does save the movie. He obviously looks the part. I mean, the dude is just ripped, so he made the suit work. And combined with the fact that he could pretty much break you in half, I love the moments where he's allowed to show some funny moments. Like there's a great moment, Jacob, where he throws his dude, and Dr. Fate is like, we need to question him, and the dude is falling, and then crashes, and he's like, he's not gonna make it. I thought
Yeah.
that was great. And then there's other moments where the little boy is, or not the little boy, but the boy tells him, first catchphrase, then death," and then he always gets it backwards. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Those are some great moments. And I also love the sarcasm bit. Like Black Adam doesn't really understand what sarcasm is, and he tries it at one point when he drops those two guys off after questioning him. He's like, "I didn't mean that. That was sarcasm." It's like, that's not what sarcasm means.
Yeah, exactly. And shout out to Pierce Brosnan holding it down as Dr. Fate. It is unfortunate that he does die in this, because I remember the Professor Fate character from Young Justice, which is a super underrated TV show, and I highly recommend it to everyone. And I just was so always intrigued by that character, just the mask and the presentation, and Pierce Brosnan, give him credit, he gives the role socks, and he has more than his fair share of funny moments, but also serious moments. And it's going to be a shame, unless there's a prequel of some kind, that we're probably never going to see him again. But shout out to Pierce Brosnan for just holding it down.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Along with, I think his name's Aldous Hodge, who played the Hawkman. I really enjoyed that character, and it was fun seeing him and Black Adam have that rapport with one another, like just like disagreeing over their tactics on how to uh, get involved in this situation. There's some like interesting commentary that's like sprinkled in the movie, like when the Justice Society shows up. They're excited that Black Adam's killing these guys off left and right because they see Black Adam as their savior, and they love that. Then the Justice Society shows up, and Hawkman saves two of the guys that Black Adam tried to kill. They're not too infused on that, and then the responses are like, "Well, where were you when these bad guys took over our town, our country? And where was the Justice League when they showed up?" And that does lead to some interesting questions, like, well, where was Superman when this happened, or where was Wonder Woman and some of these other characters? And that was just something to think about when watching the movie.
Yeah, I said this in my review. Is interesting ideas, but I don't think they fully capitalized on them. For example, when that did happen, that scene where the lady is like, "Where were you all when all of this was going on?" And I was like, "Hmm, that's a good idea." But it's almost never followed up on. I almost feel like I just wanted them to mainly focus on being more popcorn flick kind of stuff instead of trying to be serious. So I mean, maybe that's just me. I wanted the ideas explored more, and I don't really think that they did, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I guess that's a good point. But I still like that it was there, and I think lead to more conflicts in future movies.
It sounds like we're going to get Hawkman and more stuff, which to capitalize off of your point, I did like Aldous Hodge here. At first, I didn't like the dynamic between the two at first. I was like, where is this going? I do not like this. But by the end, I slowly warmed up to him, and I think it was really solid. And I love Hawkman's just style. I love the mansion. I love the outfit. I said in my review, I want a Hawkman movie just to see how he can afford that massive estate in St. Luc, Louisiana. I'm just in there like, wow, you must have Elon Musk money right there, or Bruce Wayne money.
Yeah, that'll be interesting if they do more with that character, so we can piece all the answers with that. But like I said, I was not a big fan of the other members of the Justice Society. Cyclone, I liked her powers, and I guess she was attractive, but the character didn't really stand out to me. And I really did not like Noah Centineo as the Atom Smasher. No offense to the actor, he was trying. It was more so the writing of the character. You can tell they were trying to make him like the big comic relief character, but not once did this character make me laugh. And every time he tried cracking a joke, it pretty much made me cringe.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of this character myself. I thought that his suit looked too much like Deadpool's suit with the expressive eyes. I don't know, maybe that was just me, but I just thought he was a liability because there were several scenes where he actually like hits Hawkman, and Hawkman is like, "You and me in the ship later, we're gonna have a talk." And that talk never happens unless it happens off screen in a deleted scene. But that talk never happens. And it's the most puzzling thing. I was just sitting there like, Hawkman, you're supposedly the leader of this team. One of your members did something stupid. You need to pull him aside and say, don't do that stupid thing. It's a weird flex. It really
Yeah,
is.
I think it was addressed earlier in the movie that he had never actually done this kind of work before. This was like his first mission. So you think he would have had some training before taking on a character like Black Adam? That was just some weird writing to me. But I will say this shout out to Henry Winkler, who cameos as his uncle. I thought that was a fun little cameo.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking to myself, the Fonz looks kind of dumb here because he just gives his nephew his costume and is like, have you trained him at all? Or are you just throwing him in to see what happens? I don't know. It's never explained, but yeah, shout out to the Fonz just for seeing him there. It was always nice to see. Back to the villain really quick, Sabak. Yeah, I was not a big fan. I knew the dude was going to be evil from the very beginning. I was just sitting there like, all right, one of you is going to be a turncoat. I know it's not the fat brother. I know it's not the sister. So you're the odd man out. And not to pat myself too hard on the back, but I was right on that. And I like the design. I like the devilish design that they had on him. It was a day late and a dollar short. Just seeing as this weaselly human dude, and then just all of a sudden like, I am Sabak. I'm like, bro, where have you been for the past 2 hours? What do you like?
Yeah, this character didn't really do much for me. I think I like the ideas on this character that he was the descendant of the evil king from the prologue. I thought that was actually a good little detail that I did like. But the execution of the character didn't really do much for me. He becomes the demon monster way too late for me to care about the conflict. And just the character just comes off as uninteresting to me. I feel bad for this actor though because he also played Jafar in the live action Aladdin, and I was not a fan of Jafar in that movie. That's like the one weak link I have with that. So quit casting this actor to play lame villain. Like get him to do more interesting stuff because him doing villain roles isn't working.
Yeah, poor Marwin Kenzari. Like that dude cannot catch a break.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think about this company coming in and taking over this country? I believe it was called like integrated, not integrated core, but I can't think of the name right now. I was just sitting there the entire movie. I was thinking to myself, just call it LexCorp. Like, what are we doing here? Like just call it LexCorp. It's not like Lex Luthor is still in jail. So you could be like a rogue businessman of some kind. Like, just call the company LexCorp and stop the ambiguity. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that, but I was just thinking that for the entire movie.
Yeah, I didn't really think that when watching the movie. I just know that the big MacGuffin in the movie is they were after a powerful thing called Eternium. That's like the lamest plot thing in a movie since Unobtainium in James Cameron's Avatar.
Eternium, because Infinitium was already taken. But yeah, I was sitting there like, who else in the DCEU, what has been established, can afford tech like this? I know it's not Bruce Wayne because he wouldn't do something like this. So it's gotta be Lex Luthor. And again, keep in mind, it has been established that he was in jail, but he's out. It's in the bad Justice League movie, but he's out now. And so I mean, we got Superman back now. We might as well reestablish Lex Luthor. I know you all don't like Jesse Eisenberg in the role, but you might as well have him in there. But if that's my hill to die on, then so be it.
Yeah, I actually don't mind Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He grew on me the more I rewatched Batman versus Superman. But yeah, the character is not in prison anymore. He was broken out of in both cuts of Justice League, whichever cut you prefer. So hopefully they'll integrate him in the future movies, especially now that we got Superman in the DCU officially again. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what this so-called 10-year plan is going to be.
Well, I suppose it's as good a place as any to get into that cameo at the end, which, and talk about, I did not see this coming, but I love this scene where it hits the credits and then you see Black Adam and Amanda Waller on her drone is like, you stay on the island, you can live, but you step off the island, we're gonna have some problems. And Black Adam's like, no one on Earth can stop me. And she's like, oh, I'm not calling someone from Earth. And the drone gets destroyed, but then through the smoke, you see Henry Cavill as Superman, and y'all, my jaw dropped because I'm so sick of just the Henry Cavill that is he, isn't he, is he, isn't he? Because the dude's got options. He's in The Witcher. He was in Mission Impossible Fallout. So it's not like he's starving. So Warner Brothers, I was just telling them they needed to do something with him. Well, he's formally back as Superman. Thank God for that. Am I right?
Yes, thank God for that. I knew that he was coming back. Unfortunately, it was one of those things where it was like the worst kept secret. I would argue an even worse kept secret than Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in Spider-Man: No Way Home, because at least they tried to prevent that from leaking. Here it was like Grace Randolph spoiled it like 2 weeks before the movie premiered, and I saw that even though I don't follow her, and I hated seeing that. And then like even The Rock was saying, yeah, I think we're gonna tease something with Superman. He was subtly hinting that out in the week before the movie was coming out. I'm like, dude, stop doing that. You're gonna ruin your big surprise in the movie. I know you're passionate about this character, but give people a chance to watch the movie so they can be surprised by the big cameo at the end. But even with being spoiled, I was so happy to see the scene, and I loved seeing Henry Cavill back. I've been a fan of Cavill's Superman since Man of Steel. I've been a fan of Man of Steel since 2013, and I've defended Cavill's take on the character. And I'm so happy now that we have this cameo and they've officially announced Man of Steel 2. I cannot wait to see more adventures with Henry Cavill as Superman and continuing to see this character grow.
I could not agree with you more. I love Man of Steel. I understand why people wouldn't like it, but I think that movie is just awesome for a variety of reasons. I have a full review of it on the channel, but I did it a long time ago. It's been a minute, but I have done it. And I just, like I said, I love that movie to pieces. And just seeing Cavill now officially back is like, thank God, because I'm just so glad that he's back. And like I said, I understand why people don't like this portrayal. I understand why they don't like Man of Steel. I don't know, maybe it just hit me at the right age, at the right time, like I imagine people did with the Donner Superman. I was just in the right place, the right time, the right mindset. I know friend of the channel, Aaron White, is a big time Reeves Superman fan. So all respect to the late Christopher Reeves, big finger point to him. But Cavill is my Superman, simple and plain.
Yeah, I still think Christopher Reeve is the definitive Superman because he pretty much embodies what makes Superman such an iconic character. But if you want a great modern spin on Superman while still giving the heart that makes Superman a great character, Henry Cavill is like your number two Superman. I love everything that he's done in that role, especially in the Snyder cut of Justice League. I love what Zack Snyder brought to the character after how awful they treated him in the Justice cut. And I'm definitely excited to see where they're going to go with after this. It's going to be some exciting stuff ahead in the DCEU. Ooh, let's talk about some suits because this has been on my mind ever since I saw that reaction. Like, you have this like influencer guy who goes by Soups, who I he definitely knew that this he definitely knew about the leak because he came in, watched the movie dressed up like Superman. He had a camera guy down filming his reaction, two buddies sitting next to him with their phones out, recording this post credit scene, and then when he shows up, he's going, "Yes! Let's go!" And it broke the internet to the point of ridicule. What are your thoughts on that?
I was thinking about doing a video on this, but I actually even talked about it off air with you, Jacob, and you actually talked me out of it. I'm not going to touch on this too deep because I'm sure this person is a very nice guy. I've seen him in the he does these things for Nuvi. I don't know what your theater is like, Jacob, but before,
Yeah, I've seen him.
yeah, he's on the Nuvi stuff. And I mean, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. The dude is getting work, so I want to give him his flowers in that regard. But that is totally inappropriate what he was doing. Just the fact that it's pretty obvious that he got some kind of like, you didn't hear this from me, but just to hire some people just to be next to him and down below, I hope they were compensated well for that, because that is just incredibly disruptive. If I were working at that theater and someone reported to me, I'd be like, all right, let's kick the guy out. Because I worked in a movie theater for 3.5 years. And it's okay to be like, hooting and hollering if the time is right. But when the people like are like, when you're surrounded by people and they're like just there just to decompress and just to have a good time, and you're just bouncing off the walls, it just it it just rubbed me the wrong way. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, like I have nothing against people reacting like that if the mood and the pacing is right. I know we both saw Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame had a lot of people clapping and cheering and crying at the right moments, and that was appropriate because we were all at the right mood at the right moment, and that was a great experience for everybody. This is just one guy taking it to the extreme, and he went way too far with it. I definitely agree with that. Uh, if I was in that room, I would have been so annoyed. I probably would have tried to report him if that theater had good management. I don't know, but I have nothing against Soups as a person. Like I've seen, like you said, I've seen some of his posts. He has some respectful posts, and he seems like a dedicated comic book fan. Like I respect the guy's personality, but yeah, that's pushing it way too far. The ridicule, I think, is a little bit deserved, maybe a little too far. I wouldn't try to like. I don't like bullying people. I don't really like doing that, but come on now, the phones, that's so annoying. I hate it when people have their phones out in the theater and recording yourself in a movie theater. I'm pretty sure that was illegal. So, yeah, this is definitely not a good look. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, they have those ads at the beginning of I know at the My Luxury Theater they have that whole ad where the guy is like talking on his phone and he's like that and is like this is rude. And then the girl is like texting and is like this is annoying. And then the dude in the hoodie doing this. It is like this is illegal. And then it pops to the NATO warning of you could go to prison for it and something. And then here's this dude like just carrying on. And to your point, absolutely. I loved I loved Spider-Man No Way Home just being in the packed theater when Toby and Andrew popped out of those bubbles. Everyone was going crazy. That was appropriate because that was a mind-melting, just blow your mind kind of moment. This dude was just doing it for the TikTok money, and it just made me mad. This was just an optics kill shot. And like I said, no offense against the person. I'm sure he is a nice guy, but this was not it. This was not it at all.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, to round that all up, what did you all think of Black Adam, Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, or the Soups dude? You can even do that if you really want to. Please keep it respectful, though. But leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. And that's it. That's another episode in the books. And this is our last episode for October. Well, that means that that next episode will be the November preview. And Jacob, it's so surreal that we're at the November preview. I can't believe it.
Yeah, like I said, every time we talk about this, it seemed like it was yesterday when we started the podcast back in January. So
First week of
can't
January,
believe.
we are closing in on a year, and it just it I'm so grateful that we have made it this far, and we'll be going even farther. So Jacob, it is a pleasure. As always, please tell the people where they can find you.
Well, they can find me on Letterboxd, Twitter, and Facebook, and you can also subscribe to my two YouTube channels. My second channel, Storytime with Jacob, is where I do all the book reviews and read-alongs. I'm at the tail end of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire over on my second channel. Over on my main channel is where I do all the movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos, all that fun stuff. I actually have two live streams on the channel this week. This drops on a Wednesday, so tonight, as of when this video drops, I'll be doing a live collab with Jason the Old Millennial at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll be talking about the Stanley Kubrick film Doctor Strangelove. And then another little plug in, Ryan is going to be on a live stream Thursday night, where we'll be talking about 2001 A Space Odyssey. I think that's going to be a fun conversation as well. So there's some exciting stuff coming up. I also had my She-Hulk video, which dropped, which that one has been doing so well in views. At the time of this video, it has 136 views, which is insane to me because usually a lot of my Marvel videos don't do that well in views. I think because a lot of people dislike that show and they wanted to see me rant on She-Hulk. I think that was the one exception. So thank you to all who made the She-Hulk video do better than most of my superhero videos, I guess. If you want to see me rant about how terrible that is. Be my guest. That's some of the videos that have recently dropped, and I got again the live streams that are coming to the channel. So some exciting stuff on the channel.
Yeah, definitely go check Jacob out, and congratulations on your She-Hulk video. All that suffering at least led to something. But yeah, go subscribe to him on both of his channels. And as for this channel, I want to thank everyone for checking out Scary Mania 3. It's going to be winding down. The last review will be October 31st. I want to thank everyone who collabed, Jacob included, on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It was a labor of love, and I am so incredibly grateful for how it turned out. But for the month of November, I've got it all planned out. I'm going to be catching up on stuff that dropped in October that I've not seen, and I'm going to be combining it into one cinema catch-up video that's going to be sometime during the first week of November. I believe I've got it penned for the 4th of November, so stay tuned for that. And I've also going to be dropping my first Sunday video back. It's going to be all about the Truman Show and how it is better than you remember. So be on the lookout for that. But for Jacob Martin, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you in the next one. And don't text in the theater, you weirdos.